What is up, Cabbage Crew? It is Matt and John, your two favorite cabbages out there, just here leading a crew of cabbage people. Here talking about it is good to be back talking about the anime after about a week and a half of watching um, whatever that live action series was attempting to be.
I don't know. I don't know how we got through that. It was
We
actually
got
like
through it.
it was like rubbing
We got through it.
sandpaper and like
Yeah.
nails on chalkboard.
Chalkboard,
It was
yep.
bad. It was bad.
Yep. We got
But
through
we
it.
got through it. We got through it,
You
and we
guys
got
want to
through
see
it. We got through it
all
together.
we got through it together. If you guys want to see all 8 reviews, as well as our final review of the entire show, go over positives, negatives, what we think might happen next. Do we even think there's going to be a season 2? Um, all of that is up on our channel, so definitely check that out. But we are back talking about the anime Avatar: The Last Airbender, also Legends of Korra, some of the books that have recently come out, some of the comics that have come out, and the future of Avatar: The Last Airbender series, as well as some of the new movies, anime.
Yes.
So we are back talking about all that stuff. First couple episodes, a little bit of a meet and greet, talking about some of our favorite episodes, characters, some things. So we're gonna have another fun little discussion of what we think of each element, the strengths and maybe weaknesses of each element, what ones we think are the strongest, what one we think are. We're not going to talk about subbending because I will say I always tell people when they talk about X bending being the best because it can water bending is the best because of blood benders. I'm like, dude, blood benders ever in the world. So let's not talk about. Let's talk about the normal, actual bending element itself. No metal bending, no sub bendings, fire, earth, water, air.
No mind bending.
No tear bending.
No tear bending.
Those are all future episodes.
I had a few tear bending moments during that live action. Let me tell you, though.
Yeah, I had some pause bending and go get some food because I'm bored during that show. There were a couple times I paused and just had to sit. It was probably the first time I ever paused and just sat at the TV and just thought for a couple minutes and then turned it back on. Oh gosh. Okay, well let's go ahead and start. We're gonna just go in the order of the seasons / the order of how Aang learned the elements. So let's start with air. Give us the breakdown. You can start if you like of your thoughts on air as an element, how strong it is, the weakness of it. Overall, what's your thoughts of airbending?
Well, when most people think of airbending, they typically think of like airheads.
I think of mass genocide.
I mean, if that's one would think, okay, in the historical documents that we have, sure, but people think of airheads like in terms of like you have too much air in your head and you're just like a goofball.
Okay,
but I think air is actually like a relatively good element. I mean, there's so much you can do. You can fly. You can air scooter. Aang taught us that.
Let's say you can fly.
You can glide.
You can glide. Yeah.
Yeah. And remember what Sokka said last time I checked. Humans can't fly, and then Aang was like, "Check again," and he's like, "Flew."
Yeah, I mean, they talk about how in Legends of Korra, there's essentially you have to completely detach yourself from the world to be able to fly, and the quote unquote theory is that airbenders can't do that because of their relationships with sky bison.
I see.
So that's kind of the theory, which we do see characters fly in Legends of Korra. Back in Valtu's time and back with Juan, and that was before they met Bison, so that's why they were able to fly. But yeah, go on. I mean, air. Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, you can do some air scooter. You can do an air scooter.
Mhm.
You can. I mean, you can make a tornado.
Mhm.
Um, you can run faster than the wind. Um, maybe that just might be an Avatar thing, but Aang ran faster than the wind apparently. Uh,
He ran fast once, yeah. Magic girls.
um, yeah, I mean, it's just it's unique because you can. It's similar, and we'll get to waterbending, but it's similar to waterbending where you can um like turn your opponent's attack against them in that sense. But yeah, I just think that the element of like gliding, traveling, um, because like with earth and water, and probably fire because you can't really like fly, but with water
Fire,
with
yeah.
water and earth, you have to actually physically move to do anything. Where like if you with your in order to move, like, but with air, you can just get on a glider and have it do the work for you. Like it takes
I
less
guess.
effort. It takes less effort to move with air than the rest of the elements.
Yeah, I think air is interesting because when we're watching it on television, either if it's the live action or if it's the anime, they're doing. I feel like they're making something. Um, they're drawing something so we visually can see the air, but like realistically, if it was a real life situation, like we wouldn't be seeing the air, right?
No.
It would just be moving. So I've always thought that's kind of interesting. Like it's very hard to defend against because if you're fighting someone and they are an airbender, like you don't. It's very hard to predict their next move. Like if you see fire coming towards you, you can you can do something with it. You can move,
Yeah.
you can,
Mhm.
whatever you want to do. If you see, if you're going against somebody and they have water, obviously you can defend that. Same with, or all the elements. Air is very interesting because can't really see it. Um, so that's a just something that I don't know. I've always thought it was interesting with airbending and all the things you mentioned. The non-element aspect of airbending that brings a different element to it, which is the ability to semi-fly, glide, the ability to run fast, the ability to utilize your bending style as a way to transport, which really all elements kind of have that in a sense, but it's a little, yeah, like you said, a little bit more effortless. Like when Yang's on the scooter, he bends and then kind of controls it from there. Where like earth and fire, it seems like it's very much like they're doing the bending. They're continuously doing the bending while they're also transporting. If that makes any sense. So so yeah, I mean that's an interesting thing with air. Also, this isn't really part of subbending. It's just frowned upon, illegal. I don't know. The ability to be able to take air out of someone's lungs. Um, for what all we know, I think we've only seen one character do it. Um, but yeah, I mean that's an interesting concept. That's kind of a scary concept too. If you are going against someone that is a deadly threat, um,
An air
being able to
sucker.
suffocate. Yeah, I mean, um, um, what's his name in Korra? Zahir. Is
Oh
Zahir
yeah.
suffocates the Queen. Um, so yeah, I mean, Air's definitely in the ability to be able to. It is very much like a um, avoid tactic, avoid and strike at the right opportunity. A little bit more passive. Um, so I mean, that's definitely
It's the element of freedom. Like
element of freedom, element of
that's
surprise.
because America. That's why. But but no, yeah, it's just the element of freedom and uh, doing. It's like you do what you want with it.
Hmm. definitely. So yeah, we'll move on to water,
Hmm.
um, which is the element of change.
That's right.
Um, I think water's the most creative. Um, Spoiler alert from a podcast. Probably it's going to come out in like months from now. Who knows? But it's probably my favorite element. I Yeah, I think you can do a lot with it. Not just utilize the idea of making it ice. You can also heal.
Hmm.
Those aren't sub bending styles in my opinion. Those are just that's part of water bending.
No.
Majority. I mean, it seems like a lot of water benders can heal. Um, I mean, they say it's only gifted water benders, but I feel like any water bender could do it. It's just you have to be trained and know your stuff. You have to be
Right.
a good water bender to be able to do it. It's not necessarily like one out of every 500 can do it. So that's why I gather.
I like that as I like that reason. I do.
Yeah, I mean they go to the North Pole and the men are the warriors and the women are the healers. So it's like, okay,
Right.
so does every water bending woman know how to heal? It seems like it, meaning it has nothing to do with just a chance of one out of every X amount of water benders can heal. It is more of a you just need practice with it. Like you just have to be talented at doing it.
Well, there's one person in the Northern Water tribe that can't heal, and that's Yue because she starts as a character.
Apparently, the water bender too.
Well, apparently she's a waterbender now, but
Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts of water bending?
oh no, I love waterbending. I mean, I totally agree with you. It's most creative with the ice, with healing. I mean, what's more to say than that? And like this is also the element that can really turn your opponent's attack against them.
Mhm.
Um, and especially like it's kind of hard to like in terms of defense. With the other elements, it's kind of hard to like with earth you can dodge, with fire you can dodge and maneuver, but with water bending it's like what I just said, like you're like turning your opponent's attack, like when your opponent's attacking you like waterbender versus waterbender, you can just like revert that attack right back at them.
Mhm.
It's just like a boomerang. It just comes right back. and
Mhm.
and so I do love waterbending and its creative art. And it's I mean, it's just used for so many things. I mean, the one disadvantage to it though is like not much water. There's not much water around. I mean, you learn to create your own water,
Mhm.
but that's limited. So it's only really good when it's around.
Well, if you're smart, you can take it from thin air. There's water in
True.
air. Um, so um, yeah, I mean, if air is air or not air. I'm sorry, water feels like it's the only, in my opinion, the only of the four that are truly an extension of your body. The water whip, being able to do like
Mm,
fire is like it's an extension, but it goes away. It's like you use fire and then it's gone. Air is the same way, and it's less of an extension and more of like a push. Or water, it's like you can use water and very much your emotion. It's following your emotion. It doesn't leave. It kind of
right.
continues. So it does feel it's almost like having a water sword.
I
Um,
don't disagree. I
I
mean,
know we see
you see,
characters use it
yeah,
as ice, and then it ends up being like ice coming
right.
at you. So I mean, we've seen. Yeah, I mean,
You see Katara and Aang like transform into an octopus and using
mhm,
the octopus extension. I mean, hands down, you're 100%. You got it right on the nose.
yeah, um, yeah. So let's go to spring. Go to earthbending.
Okay, I
Um,
like Earthbending. I really do.
you remind me of
Um,
an earthbender.
huh?
You're like, no, you know what? You're not an earthbender.
What? Everybody says I'm not an Earthbender.
Yeah, you're not an earthbender because earthbenders are very like strong. I'm just kidding.
The boulder takes offense to those hurt feelings.
No, you just don't have the personality of an earthbender. That's probably a good thing. Um, no, I mean, Earth. I like Earth. See, I kind of mirror what you said about water not being everywhere. Like Earth's not everywhere.
Yeah, it is mostly.
Well,
If you're on land, you can do Earth. Like it's only if you're like captured and put in metal
yeah.
places, like you're definitely gonna be using Earth.
I guess, but like, I guess in this world, you're right.
Even in Avatar world.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. In this world, like in
Oh.
Avatar, that's
Oh, I thought you meant
I
like
think
in Earth world.
No, I think in our world, not as much. Like if you're in a building, if you're on any building, like that's metal. You're not earth bending it. We're not talking about sub bending. So like, I mean, how many times like if you're in the streets, like I guess there's Earth. I don't know. Earth to me is just a little bit more like they talk about fire being destructive. Like Earth's pretty damn destructive.
Of course it is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Earth. See, the thing about Earth is like it's creative. You can be really creative with it, but you can only use the Earth that's there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like water, you can bend. It's flexible, so you can make a ball of water turn into this, and you can do that with Earth too. I guess what I'm saying is if you lift up a boulder and it's, let's say, 5x5, it's not like you can do anything else with that. And I've always found it also interesting how like when they're bending each other and they like lift up Earth from the ground, it's like I guess just holes everywhere. Like
Yeah.
I don't know,
That's the point though.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what kind of surface it is, as long as it's made of Earth, you can just do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
Like in the first Omashu episode, literally Boomy took the.
No, I get that. Like we've seen sometimes, for instance, when they're fighting and talk like this, and then Earth will like, I'm just going to do some hand stuff, and Earth will come up like that, right?
Yeah.
Well, underneath of it is nothing then.
It's just a hole. It's like a crater.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I don't know. I've always been like, that's just like, I feel like that's limited for me. That's all.
Because your brain is very limited.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to expand the cabbage. You have to peel away the hard shell.
I do like Earthbending. Earthbending.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And then you're gonna rate it last.
So we'll talk fire now. The elements of
wait.
Life.
I think you mean. I think it's time we start with fire.
What?
From Jong. We're gonna get with fire.
We're gonna start firebending now.
Yeah.
It's not even like a quote that people remember. We're gonna start firebending now. Okay. Yes. So fire.
Wang fire, and this is my wife. Fire.
Yeah, I mean they do a good job in the show of evolving fire. Like first it's destruction, and looks like it's like power, destruction, and then it's by the end it's more life and energy, which again like is just the way the episode where Aang gets burnt is kind of a good way to kind of physically, I guess, show it and show that it affects Aang. So I really
Katara getting burned.
Katara getting burned. Aang, it affects Aang. So yeah, I mean, I like fire as an element. It's the one element though that, like, for me, like, it is very destructive. Like, see what you want, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it is one of those things where, like, I feel like in the real world, like, this place, everything would be burning to the ground. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so what would be what's your thoughts on fire bending?
Well, I mean, I totally agree. When the Firebending Masters episode came out, and I was watching it, like, and obviously they turned the switch on what firebending could be and what the origin of firebending was. I was like, you're just trying to cover your ass. Like you're just
You think
like
so?
like obviously it makes sense and it was like nice to see, but I'm like, just let fire be bad. Don't have it have a
No.
redeeming story.
See, I don't think so. You don't.
I
You think that? I don't think so.
I
think it was.
I'm on Team Jong Jong. That's what team I'm on.
Yeah. No, I think that. Well, because John came from the military, so that's all he knew. So he
Of
looked
course.
at it as a bad way. But I think by the end of the show, like they do much like they do this with a lot of the characters, right? Not everyone's bad, not everyone's perfectly good,
Yeah.
and even the bad people we have to give a chance to. And the element of fire is like a character. It's like it's like at the beginning of the show for really very much all 3 seasons, but the majority of the first 2 seasons. So you look at fire as just bad, and it's like
Yeah.
anyone that's firebender is bad, and you start obviously changing your mind a little bit with Zuko and some of the different characters. So by the end, I just feel like when they start explaining fire for the 10,000 years that the Avatar's been around, the Fire Nation's only been evil for 100 of those years,
Right.
And so it's like we as an audience kind of looked at fire as a bad thing, and it's like no, fire doesn't need to be bad. It's just that's how it's been represented, and that's like it's the same thing with a lot of things. I mean, we can talk about things like gun control. We can talk about things with other things that you could say are maybe it's a metaphor for or whatever it is. But it's like it's all about how you use it,
Right.
and certain people used it for life and energy, and certain people used it for evil and destruction. I really like how they did fire, and Iroh gave us some sprinkles throughout of how to at the beginning. So
Right. How to treat it. How to treat it. Yeah.
how to treat it, yeah. So I like how they did with fire. So let's talk about our not our favorites, but we feel like are the best.
Mm.
Okay, so we're gonna go and just instead of doing 4, 3, 2, 1, everything like that, we're just gonna go again by elements, and then you're just gonna say what they are. So I'm interested in seeing where you are with air.
Air is my number 2.
Okay. Air is your number 2, so air is my number 3.
Okay.
So why do you think air is so strong?
I'll be honest. I was debating between 2 and 3. Like I was like, you might have convinced me to probably put it to 2, because of the dynamics of it, where you can do ice, you can heal. I mean, that was a big, strong argument. And
I'm talking about for air.
no, I know. I'm just saying that like I might switch my water placement with air. That's what I'm trying to say. But I'm a big transportation guy. I like flying, gliding, effortless motion. So that's one of the main reasons why air was my number 2. Though maybe by the end of this podcast, I'll be like, Matt, I'm switching that.
Wise words. All right. Water.
3.
Number 1.
Earth.
No. Yours is Earth.
Yes.
I put water as number 1.
Oh, okay.
Your Earth is number 1. My Earth is number 2. Meaning fire for you is last.
Yeah.
Last for me too. Which is funny because it's like those are the villains of the show. And they're supposed to be like evil. I mean, maybe it's just we see firebenders be so bad for so much of the show where it's like, Aang takes down 4 of these firebenders, and like, Sokka, a 16-year-old boy, is like beating the shit out of his 30-year-old trained soldier. And like, so it's like.
I mean, I will say that. I mean, with firebending, if you're just taking it on itself, because I'm just thinking like, what can you do with firebending just on its level? Because that's what this whole podcast episode is about. It's just fire. That's just all it is. You just blow fire in someone's face, or like that's it. There's nothing. Like you can't do anything. You can't do anything more.
It has the best. I would say next to Earth, fire is definitely like the most dangerous on its own. Like just blowing fire in someone's face is most likely going to burn them to the point where they are third degree burn all their face. Like realistically, or maybe even kill them. Like depending on the
Yeah.
situation. Earth's the same way. Like if you throw a boulder at somebody and you hit them and the boulder's going 15 miles per hour or 20 miles per hour, like you're probably going to kill them. Ask them
Yeah.
for a jet.
I was
But
actually gonna bring that up.
and I mean, again, you can do. I guess you can say the same thing with water because water goes fast enough; it can go through steel, so it can probably slit right through a neck.
Well, that's what I would love. I mean, not for like enjoyment, but for like effect to see. Like, I'd like to see like an Avatar show where they have. Well, I mean,
where it's like rated R.
no, but like, where they actually show because like in in the anime original cartoon, you see fire being bad and you see earth being bad a little bit. I want to see one where like I want to see water. I want to see an evil like besides like besides blood bending. Besides that, I'm talking about like using ice and just I'm saying like ice kill or like ice injure. Like
in Korra, you have is it Tarlock?
Tarlock, yeah.
Yeah, the fight between Korra and Tarlock right before he bloodbends her up in his like a little office area, where he has like the waterfall behind him, and then he kind of makes a shield out of it and starts, and they all start. That's like darts flying at her, and she's like dodging them and
Right.
stuff. Like that's a really good fight between.
No, of course it's a good fight, but I just what I'm saying is like I want to see like a dramatic, like with a jet thing where like oh my god, like and originally you just think he's knocked out, but no, like he's not knocked out. Like,
yeah, I mean you want to see more death.
I want to see a dramatic scene like that where like oh my god, they
someone gets stabbed in the heart by an ice shard. Yeah, I mean,
or like an accident, like just like an accident, like.
Can you imagine just Bolin just getting just like a relatively important side character just getting his throat slit,
like an accident, like an accidental friendly fire or something.
Yeah, like oh god, Suki. She's like on the ground, and some blood's coming out. Bloodbender back, bloodbend the blood back. Oh my gosh. Oh man.
But yeah, just like something like that, like an evil. Yeah, so I don't know.
An evil.
Like I know we had Hama, like I get it, but more. I don't know what I'm trying to. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, just more. Like I mean, again, like in Korra, we get season 3. I forgot her name, but part of the Red Lotus, there's a waterbender, who doesn't have limbs or arms, and she uses waterbending as essentially arms. I mean, that's kind of. So I mean, we see a little bit of it, but I know what you mean. Like, and I'm sure as there's more anime coming out, we're gonna see different types of villains of different culture. Like, I mean, Avatar for the most part, we see fire, we see a little bit of earthbending villains,
right?
Some waterbending, Hama kind of a villain. They're less villains and more antagonists for our heroes,
right?
And then Korra, you have every season a different type of villain,
right?
With different bending styles and everything like that. So, yeah, I mean, I just think water is probably the most deadly. Like, I mean, Earth too. Like water. Like,
you can make that argument, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just think water is deadly. So, so real quick to go our last count. So, fire. Our Cabbage crew calculator, is that what we're calling it?
Cabbage crew calculus.
Calculus. So how it works is whatever rating we give it, or whatever order we get it. If it's 4th place, it gets a 4. 3rd place gets a 3. 2 gets a 2nd place, and then 1st place gets 1. We add our scores together, and then it creates an ultimate score, and the lowest score wins. Right. So I just wrote down here the 4 scores. Fire's last with 8 points because we both gave it a 4.
Yep.
Air comes in at 3rd place, which has 5. Water is you gave it a 3, I gave it a 1, so 4 points. And then Earth is actually first place because I gave it a 2, and you gave it a 1. So that's our Cabbage crew calculus calculator. That's how
calcular. How about that? How about calcular?
Yeah, that's how we're gonna be doing it for now on. Whenever we do our gradings of top 10, we're gonna do it probably prior to.
It's going to be top 10, top 10, top 5, top
10, top 5,
whatever.
whatever. We're gonna talk about it beforehand and then give you our actual Cabbage score.
Or cabbage cut.
Or Cabbage cut between both of us instead of going back and forth. So that's gonna be a new thing we do. We'll see how long that lasts. Hopefully, as long as this podcast.
That's right, which will be next week, and then it'll be over. No, just kidding.
Just kidding. Subscribe. All right, so
subscribe, Kevin.
All right, so I'm gonna pull up a Reddit here, and we can do some. We talked about it beforehand. Doing a basically every other episode of our podcast, doing some fan theories. I think that would be fun to do. So we're just gonna do maybe 2 this time around, and maybe we'll have like once a month where we'll do like 4 or 5 just in one podcast. Bunch of fan theories we could go on forever. So the first one I pulled up.
I'm curious because you haven't shared with me any of these.
No, I haven't even looked. This is the first one. I'm literally pulling up the first one. And this is just on Reddit. This is just on Reddit, and we can think, or we can just talk about our thoughts if we think it's true, if we think it's stupid. So, High Lord Bubbles writes.
Oh, hello, High Lord Bubbles.
They write, "What is your favorite hand in it?" I'm not doing that one. That was dumb. Okay, I'll do it. Okay. So basically the theory is that I don't like this one at all for our first one. But basically the theory is that Ty Lee is actually an air nomad.
She looks the part.
So I personally have a fondness for the theory. Okay, I thought they said fondness of Ty Lee. I was like, fondness for the theory of Ty Lee is secretly or unknowingly a air nomad descent based on her very air nomadish facial features and go with the wind hippie girl attitude, which bears a bit resemblance of air nomad technique or air nomad teachings. Sorry that I had to get through that first part because the first part was not the theory itself and was something else.
I'm sure it was.
Anyway, so yeah, so the theory that Ty Lee is an air nomad or a descent of air nomads. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, does it make sense? No, but does it? Is there some circumstantial evidence? Yeah, I can see it. I can totally see what they're saying with like the features and like she's like an airhead of Azula's group.
Love the airhead thing. I think that just means you're dumb.
No, but remember who wants Jinzu on their team? Anyways.
It's like puzzle around. I remember seeing that for the first time, but I was like, "What the fuck?"
That would never get played today.
Yeah, here's a theory. Yeah, Jinzu, whatever his name was. What's his name? Jinzu.
Jinzu. Yeah.
Jinju. Or Jinzu. He was the one that told the Fire Nation of their location. He got mad after that and went down and told Fire Nation. Anyway, it's kind of sad it's kind of sad to think that kid was. It's kind of sad to think that kid was brutally murdered like a week later. Who was? That is pretty fucked up. Like literally a week after that, he's like, "Who wants Jinju on his team?" He's like, like a week later, that kid was just brutally murdered.
Oh man.
Oh man. All right. Anyway,
But no. I mean, look, it's highly, she can do acrobats. I mean, she's very flexible. She can like walk on wires. That's very. I feel like it's more of an air nomad type of feature or characteristic. Like I said, like it's not like I don't buy it because again, she's in the Fire Nation. She's from the Fire Nation, so like that's all the evidence you need. But what Mr. Bubbles is saying in terms of like circumstantial evidence, it's there. Like I see what he's saying, but I disagree.
Yeah, I think that it keeps by doing that, you're getting into a kind of a you're putting every character into a box based on just personality traits. You know, so it's like the whole thing of like, oh, shouldn't Hermione be a Ravenclaw because she's smart? You know, it's like so Tylee's flexible and is like bubbly, so she has to be an Airbender. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying.
It's more than that. I mean, there's more than that. Like if it was just based off of that, I've been like, I agree with you, but it's more than that.
Like what? Facial features?
Like I said, like acrobatic.
Yeah, but that's
we don't know her family background except 7 sisters. I mean, we don't know her background.
Well, they're royal family. There's they're not royal family, but there's something along the lines of that they are part of high
society,
royalty or high society. Like like maybe her father's a high up ranked officer.
Yeah,
you know, May's father is high up in like I think he's military governor or something. So like, like we know that. I mean, I guess my thing is we could do that with a lot of different characters, right? Like we can do that with May. You know, there's not too much difference between May and the Kyoshi Warriors when it comes to their fighting skills and how they utilize throwing objects as weapons. You know, like I think Tyler. I mean, I can understand the like facial feature stuff, like because I guess I can understand that, but I don't know. I think that theory makes it so you're putting Tyler into a bubble, which is funny because Mr. Bubbles is the one that asked that. All right, so let's go to another one. Yeah, thank you, Bubbles. Thank you for. I mean, I don't know why we're thanking him. You just put it on Reddit, put it on our page or something. Bubbles, go to our page. All right, this is my own thing. Okay, so natural traveler 16. But this is my own fan theory. Here we go.
I'm listening.
But all the new that all of the new quote unquote new airbenders in Legend of Korra are the non-bender descents of air nomads that escaped, or they are descents of the non-benders that originally from the airbenders at some point.
Okay, you're confusing the shit out of me.
So essentially, or I know they're putting periods where there shouldn't be periods, or they are descendants of non-benders that originated from the airbenders at some point. I just don't think it's a coincidence that Boomy was one of the new airbenders, seeing as he is a direct descent of Aang. So essentially, the airbenders from Korra that gained the airbending ability after convergence, those airbenders are descendants of non-airbenders that got away during the 100-Year War.
I mean, I actually have thought about that a little.
Their evidence is Boomy.
What's their evidence with Boomy? What does that mean?
Boomy gained it.
Oh, Boomy as in like Aang's son Boomy. Yeah. Okay. So one question that I had with this whole thing, and I actually thought about it, and I hope it like reverts back to the question at hand, but when Sozin wiped out the air temples, you had to start with one and go to the other, and they're far apart. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, just because of distance.
Well, I always looked. I didn't always. I looked at it as it was Sozin's plan, not Sozin went to each temple. Like I always looked at it as Sozin started a strike, and he might not even have went. Like it was like that was the military going, and they all attacked. They had. I still think back then they had dragons. So they had dragons that were able to go. So 30 dragons flying over temples, burning them to a crisp.
Yeah.
I mean that
would make sense. Okay.
In my opinion, how it was done, not what they did in the live action, which is, a dozen of them flew up and took them one. You know what I mean? Like, so,
yeah.
and I'm assuming the dragons maybe had enhanced abilities as well, advanced
right.
Comment. So,
well, and I think here's the thing: it's not too far fetched that maybe some of the Airbenders were traveling. Like Aang traveled to the Fire Nation to see Kuzan, so like there could have been a few Airbenders that just weren't there. It's totally plausible.
Well, yeah. I mean, I do think all the Airbenders were. I mean, there's a chance that they didn't kill all the Airbenders. Like maybe they killed 90% of them, and there were some Airbenders left, but they dwindled them down and killed them all.
Like Hama was the last Waterbender.
Right. So like they essentially killed them all in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, the idea that like the descendants of the Airbenders, that the not the Airbenders, but the people that lived within the Airbender nation that got away, and then their bloodlines gained the ability to bend later. It's an interesting theory. I never heard of that one before.
I have.
You have, it's an interesting theory. That the only one I can think of. There's a couple. I mean, there's a couple characters, and you never know how their bloodlines went. Like for instance, Opal gains the ability to airbend. Now she's from Toph's bloodline, but we don't know who Toph married.
Who says that she got married?
Not married, but who she with, and to have Sue as her daughter, who eventually had Opal. So we don't know who Sue's father is. It could have been a descendant of an Airbender. A lot of people say another theory it's Sokka. So like, so no one really.
But what's Sokka to do with Airbending?
Because Opal is Toph's
granddaughter, right?
Granddaughter. So
but what would Sokka have to do with anything?
I'm saying is if Opal is a descendant of an Airbender, that's what the theory is saying, right? Because she's an Airbender.
I did that.
If Sokka is and Toph have Sue, then we know that line ends. There's no Airbender in that line.
Oh, right.
So the only way that, unless Sue's husband was a descendant of an Airbender,
right,
which we don't really know. I mean, we know is that he's an architect, and so that would be the only way. Or if obviously Sokka's not Toph's, them two didn't have Sue, and it was some random person, and that person is a descendant. So I mean, that's. I mean, I'm just trying to break down all the people that gain the ability to airbend, and those are the only two that we know of their bloodlines, at least that we can think of. Interesting theory, though. I mean, that's a good theory. I like that. I like that one more than Ty Lee. The Ty Lee one. All right, pulled up.
I know. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Pull up
that one took some thought.
3 or 4 a day. Oh, okay, here's another one. So this is there's. I actually really like this one. So there's a theory that I heard of, which is Hama. People think that Hama escaped. So because she escaped, that is why there was knowledge that there is a waterbender in the southern tribe. Mm-hmm. That's why they kept saying we have a source that there's one bender left, and the theory is that they thought that because they thought Hama went back home. She broke out. She was in prison. She was captured probably as a late teen, she looked like. She was in there, I think she said for 20 years, so she would have been a 35-year-old, maybe 40-year-old, maybe 45-year-old woman. That most likely is about the age of Katara's mother when Katara was, let's say, 8 years old. I don't know how old Katara was. But
No.
Katara
I
was
mean,
like 5.
because like Palmer's like grand's age.
True. Oh yeah. Yeah. So the theory of Hama going home.
But it's all about the bloodline. So like Palmer could have kids, right? And
Yeah,
so like
I only brought that up, which that is a big hole in that theory. That I like this theory. The Southern Raiders killed Katara's mom instead of taking her prisoner because the policy changed when Hama escaped. We aren't taking prisoners because last time they took a prisoner, one of them escaped.
that one's an interesting one. Yeah,
That's less of a theory and more of a like.
it might be.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's no. Yeah. I mean, like. All right, we'll do 2 or 3 more here.
I don't know about I don't know if there was like a policy though. You know, like I don't know if I believe.
By the way, ARDX is the one that did. I want to give these guys
ARDX.
ARDX. I like that.
But I don't think policy change. Do you think like Fire Nation? Do you think they had policies when it came to that stuff? Because it seemed like they're pretty big war criminals no matter what. Like it just depends on.
I mean, originally when they went down there, 50 years prior, whatever it was prior, they put them in prison.
Right.
So now it might have been a completely different unit. Like last time we went down there, they might have been Fire Nation soldiers, and now it's the Southern Raiders, and the Southern Raiders are a little bit more brutal. Who knows?
Maybe it depends on the unit and the like the core.
I saw one where it was like I saw like it's not a theory, but it was like a meme, and it was like something along the lines of like, Zuko, a tortured person that like gets banished from his nation, like, says something that's kind of spoiled, like says something that's kind of like hard-headed and seems a little spoiled, and you're like, God, I hate that kid. And then it's like Iroh, the war criminal who probably killed hundreds of people, makes him tea and gets wise advice. Like, gosh, best character of the show.
I like that.
Another one I like is, or another one I'm saying here is, Mealy Toast 64.
Okay, Toast.
The Monk Gyatso is a member of the White Lotus.
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
Now, that's another question. When was the White Lotus created?
I don't know, but it's an older secret society, so it wouldn't surprise me one bit. Like when I think of the White Lotus, I think of like the Freemasons. Like it's just an older society, older secret society.
Oh my God! Oh, this is not a kid show.
Shall I ask?
Oh my God! No. This is. We get ready for this theory. Iroh ends up with June and she pegs him.
Wait.
Why are we on Reddit doing this? Why are we on Reddit? Oh, let's go.
Iroh ends up with June, and what did you say?
and she pegs him.
Pegs?
Pegs?
Pegs.
Never mind, John.
I got it. I got it.
Oh man, there's a couple in here that I
remember in the live action. She thinks he's a cutie.
That's true. Asexual booby ? Some of these Reddit posts are wild. Oh my God! All right, let's do a couple more here.
Let's do one more good one.
Yeah, one more good one. No more pegging and um, there's a lot of them I'm listening. They're too long. There's some that are like
Yeah, of course.
paragraphs. Here's a good one. F9-1701 Agent Godzilla.
Okay, Godzilla.
The world of Avatar is our planet, thousands, maybe millions of years in the future after a nuclear apocalypse
Oh shit!
invasion from another dimension, the spirit world.
I didn't even hear that. You said like our world. Like you're saying, like, can you imagine?
Yeah, so
can you imagine it?
I'll say it a little slower. So the world of Avatar is our planet, so our world.
Yeah.
Thousands or millions of years in the future after a nuclear apocalypse invasion from another dimension, which would be the spirit world.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't like that one. I don't think that's true at all. There's no way that's true. The theory would suggest that the animals would be either evolved or somehow the nuclear war evolved the animals into certain, they're
like mutants or whatever.
They're mutants of them. So it's like, okay, they're similar to what our animals are, but maybe they're combined or they took aspects from other animals or mutated into other animals.
Hey, buys revenge.
Yeah. So, no, I don't like that theory at all because that theory. So if you're just taking Avatar as Airbender and not like Korra and you don't know the idea of lion turtles, why are you laughing?
Nothing.
Still thinking about pegging?
Maybe.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't like that theory because I think that theory is basically like the only because even the world of Avatar, the locations, like the nations themselves don't match up with our world.
No, of course not. No.
You know what I mean? Like there's really nothing that can stand behind it besides the fact that you could say we went back, our society went backwards.
I mean,
in that sense, but it's like, yeah, theory. I mean, the only thing what I would think of is maybe the opposite, which is this world is thousands of years in the past where we had these abilities, we ended up dying, or the idea of bending faded away due to war and fighting, and the only people that survived out of it were non-benders. And the lion turtles all died off. So the idea of giving elemental powers people went away, and evolution made the half-breeded animals turn into just what they are today. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
No, yeah. I mean, I just think it's like just a random thought that one person had that was it Godzilla had? Or was that Godzilla?
Yeah, our friend Godzilla. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I just think there's just a imagine this scenario type of thing, and it's like interesting. That's an interesting picture for maybe a fantasy show, like
well, the original show was supposed to be in the world, on our world, like 10,000 years in the future. You know all that, right?
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, like they had the Aang was supposed to be this like future boy, and Momo was a robot.
Robot Momo. Yeah, I know, did not.
Yeah, Momo was supposed to be like a robot, and then Appa was supposed to. What Appa was is what Korra's.
I knew that.
Yeah,
I knew that.
Yeah, and I'll put a picture up on post, but yeah, it's yeah, that was originally what it was supposed to be, and then they I forgot which of the creators was watching a special on these like igloo people.
That's for the water tribe, yeah.
Eskimos, and they kept getting invaded by like they were like pirates or something like that. So he thought of the idea of like Eskimo people and the invasion of bad guys, and then thought of fire people,
Right.
and then that's where the four elements came into play. And then they decided to make the futuristic boy be an airbender, and then they thought, oh, okay, maybe he's not from the future, maybe he's from the past, and they thought of the frozen iceberg, and that's kind of where it
Right.
all kind of came together. So yeah, I mean, it's
No, I didn't know about the future thing. I knew about how the show got created. Like I know about the South Pole with I think it was Brian Konietzko watching the penguin thing, and then like I knew about like how the show got started, but I didn't know that it was supposed to be in the future though. I thought
this is very early on. Like this is like early drawings. I'm sure. I
no,
don't
I know.
exactly
I'm just
when
yeah.
they start. Yeah, but you're talking like early drawings, like the first drawing of Aang, Momo, and Appa. Like Appa was like a standing bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'd love to see that artwork, the original artwork.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty
I mean,
cool.
it's out there. You can see some stuff. So yeah. I mean, for the most part, I think we covered all the little theories. We'll pop in some theories, maybe 3 or 4 theories every couple episodes, just to play around with.
That's
do some
right.
games and stuff like that too. So
because we need to interact with our audience that we have. And if you're new, please subscribe. Please join us. Subscribe to our podcast, Cabbage Crew.
Cabbage, on our Cabbage ways. What going back to the first topic? What do you think is the most powerful elements? That is not including sub bendings. We'll get to that eventually.
Yeah, of course.
But the 4 original bending elements, what do you think is the most powerful? Or just put them in order, whatever order you want. Again, the official Cabbage Crew calculus puts it as earth, water, air, and fire. Which is just the opposite of the seasons. If it starts at earth, water, air, fire. But yeah, so let us know what you think below. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
See you, Cabbage Crew. Thanks for joining.
Peace.